So you are locked into Get Empowered tonight, and we're very happy to be on. And we have guests, like you've heard. We are going to be looking at our natural intelligence against. All right. Yeah, we're going to be looking at our natural intelligence. We've had some time where we focus on artificial intelligence. Well, I guess virtual world and all of that stuff. We focused on that. Yeah, but tonight we're going to look at just the brilliance and the beauty of our creation, who we are, what we are, and all of that stuff. We have a guest, and I might not say, okay, I see my guest is already there. And we are very thankful. Thanks to the tech and thanks to the webmaster for just setting us up. We got some reliable staff members here. We also on YouTube and I think the Facebook. Yeah, so don't look at me too much, you know what I mean? Listen to me rather than just look at me. I'm good looking and you are good looking. And I guess my guest will be good looking. So you got good looking. I saw an ad and one time, and in the ad the guy was saying it's a beautiful man. We hear about beautiful women, but I guess that's basically what this ad was about. Yeah, so it's 10 after 8, and I love the smile on your face. Look at that smile. So let me just greet you, every one of you. Just a pity we can't have individual shout out. We'll do that some other time because we're gonna get into and in with our guests in a bit, and so we won't have that happening, but we will definitely connect with our guests. So it's good to have you, every one of you within this space, those of you on the Nature Isle, and those of you outside of the Nature Isle that's listening. And I guess my phone is already going, so some of you are letting me know that you are tuned in. If you just stay tuned in. I know in Dominica, l'applicateur base is all chauffé. But please, please stay in and listen, all right? All right, resist the temptation to chauffer. For now, just resist that temptation. La plila est bien douce à sous kaila. All right, si on est à kai galvinage ou panicilline, et la plila tombe à sous ça, oh yo 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 yo. Il a dit nous à nous chauffer, à nous venir fouet. All right, but that will not be what we're going to be doing tonight. Just stay tuned, stay connected, listen to me, obviously, and resist the temptation, like I said, to get cozy and chauffé. We got some real good information for you. I've got guests. Let me just begin by, I'll say good evening to my guests in a while, but let me just do the brief bio on my guests. All right, my guest, his name is Steinberg Henry. He's originally from the town of Portsmouth and the community of Jacques. He is one of 8 children of his mother, Daisy Andrew. His father, Fred Henry, is from the community of Wesley. Steinberg grew up in Portsmouth and attended the Portsmouth Government School and later the Dominica Grammar School in 1968. On graduating from high school, he would teach at St. John's School in Portsmouth, the Portsmouth Secondary School, and the Savant Pie Government School. Steinberg Henry entered radio in 1977, and this would be his window to excelling. All right, he attended the Caribbean Institute of Mass Communication at UWI, Mona, Jamaica, where he was trained as a documentarist. Of the University of Windsor, Ontario, Canada, where he received a BA Honours in Media Policy and an MA in Communication and Social Justice. 20 or so years ago, Steinberg Henry experienced difficulties with his sight and by 2015 had lost significant amount of his ability to see. However, in 2018, determined as he has always been to transcend the odds, Steinberg Henry entered Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where he converted the visual experience into a study. 4.5 years later, he would receive a PhD whilst blind, a feat that few persons have been able to accomplish in the world. Congratulations in that. His PhD is in educational studies with a specialization in human development and learning. Steinberg stays in Atlanta, Georgia, with his wife Jenny. Many remember her at Jolly's Pharmacy, working as a pharmacist. They have been married for 44 years. He has 4 children and 8 grandchildren. In his 8 grandchildren, there's 7 boys and 1 girl. That girl must be very special. He has published some 6 books, the last in 2025. It is titled Julita. In the next 2 weeks or so, there will be a republication of his 2020 classic title, Calypso Drift and Water. Beyond all these, Steinberg is simply a lover of life, reasoning, excellent media, great books, and long lasting, honest, and intelligent friends and family. Steinberg Henry. All right, Steinberg is a human development and learning specialist, communicologist, a documentarist. He is also an advocate for the visual impaired and blind venture. And then he says you are more than your eyes. And I'm not sure, I will ask him the question in a while, but I don't know if that's one of his tagline. But at the bottom of, whatever you send to it in an email, it will read, thoughts are too many to hold on to one. All right. So good evening to you, my brother. Good evening to you, my friend. Good evening to you. Good to have you. All right. Oh, sorry. Good to have you. Talk to I. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
Yes.
excellent. Oh no, you always have to do, I always do. Can you see me clearly?
I'm seeing you clearly. I'm hearing you clearly. And I
Okay,
appreciate
excellent.
you,
So I am
and I
relaxed. I am
appreciate you deep,
relaxed now.
and I
That's
appreciate you
good.
deeply. All right, thank you so much for taking the time. You know what I mean. Truly appreciate you. You have inspired me, and I can't confess to having gone to school and all of that for broadcasting, but I have listened to you intently. Every time you would speak, I think there are nuggets coming from you that I've embraced, and way back with your time in radio. And stuff like that. So I appreciate the valuable contribution you have made to us and the media, and just to the growth and development of so many of us. And we continue to look to you for inspiration. So thank you so much for being on tonight. Blessings on you. And I guess I've said all these things about you. But I've also asked, thoughts are too many to hold on to one. Is that a tagline, or is just, something you just like in that sense?
Well, it's something I like. I mean, is there a difference between something you like and a tagline? What does a tagline do?
Well, a tagline maybe is something you want to be defined as, or something that helped define you, or something you embraced as a goal, as a mission, as a vision,
Yeah.
something you just, for me personally, I don't die till you finish is one of my taglines. I just plan to die,
Mhm,
I'm finish
mhm.
and then die. You know what I mean? I don't plan to die until I finish.
Well,
And
the ease with which it came to me,
okay.
thoughts are too many
Uh-huh.
to hold on to one. Um, Having spoken with so many people who sometimes tell you that, sometimes during their meditation, during their relaxation, when so many thoughts flow
Uh-huh.
that sometimes there are so many, and each one is given some meaning
Right.
and some significance. So one thought comes, you hold on to it, you try to look at it. Another one comes, particularly if you're going through a very troubling period. Could you imagine somebody is not able to pay their rent or something like that? Or, something goes wrong, and then you have all these thoughts. These days, you can't pay my rent, my child is sick, my brother has just, and so many different things.
Hmm.
And do you hold to one, or do you have beautiful ones? Like, I am comfortable today, a sense of bliss. Do you allow those thoughts to flow?
Right.
Let go of one, let go of the other. And in many ways, thoughts have a life of their own,
Right.
an energy, you would agree, Michael.
Right. Right.
So they move. May the words of my mouth and the
They shall
meditation of my heart,
be acceptable in your sight. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm not sure if you how you prefer to be called. I know your PhD. I'm not sure if you want me to hand you your title, or just in our conversation I could just say Stein, or Mr. Henry or Dr. Henry. So
Michael, when I was getting ready for this, I thought, what are we going to, how are we going to do this?
uh-huh,
And I said, Stein, you grew up at Portsmouth, where Pastor Bell and Para Rivera would have some serious intellectual exchanges
I could
on
make.
the step of the Catholic Church.
Uh-huh,
And then boys would gather, just to have a little reasoning,
uh-huh,
you see. So I was inclined to go to read up some material, given what I had sent you.
uh-huh.
And I thought, it's time. Let's not make this very complex at all.
Okay.
You and Michael just sit down, as long as he can see you and he can hear you,
Uh-huh.
and just have a nice little reasoning like two partners. When we
Nice.
finish, we probably go buy a juice or something.
All right. I've got my tea. I've got some peppermint tea.
You have
You,
some tea. Okay,
yeah, I
great
got some
stuff. Yeah.
peppermint tea.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got it. You're right on.
yes. So I got that and my water. I'm not sure what you have, but we could actually take our drink. Yes.
Yeah, in between, there's a song, there are about a couple songs that we prepared that should appear in the project.
Yes.
While that is on, I can grab my water
Wonderful.
and, or as my little grandson say, water.
Okay. When you got,
Just
you.
light stuff,
Uh,
but simple ways in which we can. When you started, when you were introducing me, you said about he has inspired, you know, DBS as a station, according to the Dominica Broadcasting Corporation Act. DBS is supposed to educate, entertain,
and
and
inform.
inform.
Yes.
And I've added a third one, inspire.
Yeah.
Well, not a third one, a fourth
Fourth
one.
one. Yes.
I think it's supposed to inspire. Don't you think so? I think it should inspire
I think we're doing this.
because
Yeah.
that's what you do with empowering anyway.
Yes. 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 We seek to do that. We seek to do that. So you quite.
And then, of course,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, and then of course we sort of had a script, something we followed, something we agreed that would guide us, a little structure. It's
Right.
not that we have to stick to it fast and strong, but
Right.
it's always nice to have.
Yeah.
I'm just delighted. I'm very happy that you invited me to do this.
Appreciate it. And yeah, like we say on Get Empowered, it's a time where we seek to help people get better and not bitter, help people to find a reason, not an excuse. And we tonight we're going to just converse around our natural intelligence. And we had some AI in stuff, and I think I pulled up something telling me want to read if the time permits, and all of that stuff. But our conversation, like you said, is going to be it's like maybe Pastor Bell. And what was the person you said that would have the discourse?
Well, I mean, those two guys were exchanging on the subject of creation and that creation, evolution, revolution thing. It was very much in the air, and we boys just sat
Said,
sipping in every moment.
yeah,
It was such a delight. And then we ourselves would have our own conversations there.
right,
We'd meet, at street corners, just outside, just outside Sevres pharmacy, in that region. You just gather under the light. Guys just meet and we just reason ourselves. We talk about things. So that is the spirit with which I thought when we spoke about the natural intelligence thing, I thought of, I said natural intelligence. And then I sent you some information about two Psalms from the
yes,
Bible.
right,
And I thought that would be a very good place to start. But in a sense, Michael, it was because I heard that brilliant discussion from, was it Nicholas Dennis?
yes, Nichols, Dennis, yeah, and myself,
Yeah,
yeah,
on artificial intelligence. And all along, I was thinking, if there's artificial intelligence, I think the opposite of artificial is natural.
All right.
So it's possible that there would be natural intelligence too. And I thought, natural intelligence? Where does this begin? So I thought of these beautiful lines. And what were the numbers of the psalm? Is it
One, one,
100 and
139. 139.
139,
Yeah, Psalm 139.
139, 1 to 18?
Yes, yes.
It was beautiful. And the second one was
Psalm 103,
103,
3, verse 1. Yeah.
and it was bless the Lord, O
Oh,
my
my
soul,
soul, and
and
all
all that
that is
is
within me.
within me.
Bless his holy name.
And it is the within me
Me.
that caught my attention
Okay.
as a point of entrance or departure for our discussion on natural intelligence. Then you will read for us the other one because I think it is beautiful.
Yes.
But that idea of what is within us,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to me that's a natural place.
All right.
It's where things, I mean, you are a pastor, you know, greater is he, that is
Is
in
in
me
me, then he,
than he
yes.
that is in the world.
Right.
You know, the kingdom of heaven is within you. You
Right.
know that
Right.
there's something beautiful within.
Right.
And to me, that is the seed of natural intelligence. But I'm speaking as if, as a person who is already born. But there's something in that psalm that you're going to read
Right.
that seems to suggest otherwise,
Yes.
that even before you were formed,
Right. Things
you
are
see.
happening.
So probably you would probably care to read that for starters for us.
No problem. I chose to read it from the Passion Translation. I found the Passion Translation to, well, it's
I
more,
must look for that. Did
yeah,
you say passion or fashion?
the Passion Translation.
Oh,
It's
passion. Wow.
the Passion. Yeah, and or it will be TPT, the Passion Translation. And
Oh,
yeah, I found it to be, sometimes when I just want added commentary or clarity to something, I would maybe go there or go to either the message version or, so I would maybe check out one of the modern version. But I found the Passion Translation to be, kind of cool. So I will read this. So, good evening again to your viewers. It's 27 after 8. It's Get Empowered. I've got as guest Steinberg Henry. He's joined with me via Zoom, and we are live on DBS Facebook page and I think YouTube. So permit me to read from Psalms 139. We'll read from verse 1. It says, Lord, you know everything there is to know about me. You perceive every movement of my heart and soul, and you understand my every thought before it even entered my mind. You are so intimately aware of me, Lord. You read my heart like an open book, and you know all the words I'm about to speak. Oops. All right, let me just get this. You know all the words I'm about to speak before I even start a sentence. You know every step I will take before my journey even begins. You've gone into my future to prepare the way, and in kindness you follow behind me to spare me from the harm of my past. You have laid your hands on me. This is just too wonderful, deep, and incomprehensible. Your understanding of me brings me wonder and strength. Where could I go from your spirit? Where could I run and hide from your face? If I go up to heaven, you're there. If I go down to the realm of the dead, you're there too. If I fly with wings into the shining dawn, you're there. If I fly into the radiant sunset, you're there waiting. Wherever I go, your hand will guide me. Your strength will empower me. It's impossible to disappear from you or to ask the darkness to hide me. for your presence is everywhere, bringing light into my night. There is no such thing as darkness with you. The night to you is as bright as the day. There's no difference between the two. You formed my innermost being, shaping my delicate inside and my intricate outside, and wove them all together in my mother's womb. I thank you, God, for making me so mysteriously complex. Everything you do is marvelously breathtaking. It simply amazes me to think about it. How thoroughly you know me, Lord. You even formed every bone in my body when you created me in the secret place. Carefully, skillfully, you shaped me from nothing to something. You saw who created me to be before I became me, before I'd ever seen the light of day. The number of days you planned for me were already recorded in your book. Every single moment you are thinking of me. How precious and wonderful to consider that you cherish me constantly in your every thought. O God, your desire towards me are more than the grains of sand on every shore. When I awake each morning, you are still with me. Psalm 139, verse 1 to 18 from the Passion Translation.
Wow. The Passion Translation.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I
You had a preferred version you wanted to read it from?
no, it's all right. It's all right. I did the Amplified,
Okay, all right.
and no, it said, just imagine, even before my thoughts are spoken, you know, you know them.
Yes.
And what caught my attention, Michael, was not only am I fearfully and wonderfully made, but before I was formed in my mother's
Well,
womb, you knew my name.
right. Yeah.
And to me, I recommended that we sort of take off with this because it gives everybody, and you're a pastor, so everybody is thus empowered even before they came into existence. Isn't that well into their mother's womb? And they are held there for a wonderful period of 9 months, you know,
Yeah.
held to their mother by a cord. There's, I mean, the female reproductive system is such a fascinating,
I put it that
such a,
way. I put it that way, Stein. I speak of our manifestation. You know, what we call birth was really our manifestation. When we talk about before, you knew me before. So we manifested, we came to being. We came on the scene, as it were, at our birth. So we manifested, we were known.
so were we somewhere else before?
Well, in his thoughts we were, and because I'm not saying we are eternal being in that sense, I want to be careful that I don't create a new theology here in that sense, because Jesus is the only one that has been there from the beginning. But if we go to just that scripture, we were in his thoughts. We were in his thoughts. And when I speak of manifestation, I'm just thinking, some people say, well, I wish I was alive in Jesus' time. Well, because of purpose, he allowed us to be manifested now, and I read your bio, and I read something about you. Your manifestation was at the time of your birth, so that you could be of relevance to our time, to this time. You would not have maybe fit in terms of the grand scheme of things and his plan if you were manifested 200 years ago. You understand? Even if you were in his thoughts, you understand? So I think the release, if I should put it that way, the release of us as individuals within his plan, even if we're in his thoughts, is with purpose. So we are not accident. So when we talk about our birth, we're not accident. We didn't just happen. We are with plan, with his in his thoughts. But his thoughts released us in a time where we could fulfill purpose. So that's what I embrace when I think of all of that, and I think
Yeah.
of we being in his thought, released in time for purpose.
It's interesting that you should say we are not an accident.
Right.
You know, it was a very popular view probably 100 years ago among philosophers of Europe. There was a view that man was an accident. It was a very strange thing. But here's a personal story. When I think my father left our house when I was about 4 years,
Okay.
and I met him again when I left high school. My mother told me to go to look for him. So
And
I met him in correspondence and used to see him every week at Wesley. And he was French speaking, although he was also a Kokoi man. It was a strange and beautiful thing that a Kokoi man should be speaking French. Um, but he taught me Adam's children English, so he was quiet, in Guadeloupe.
okay.
So I remember one day asking him, "Why didn't you support me?" He didn't answer me, but he wrote in French, "Pour autant que je sache, la vie est remplie des erreurs, mais pour moi, tu n'es pas une erreur. As far as I know, life is full of errors, but to me, you're not an error." And it was such an expression of love,
Uh-huh.
such an expression of love. So when I listening to what you say, that we manifested, we came into being, and we continue to become, is we are forever becoming, could we say that?
Well, yes. With that, when we talk about the natural intelligent, there is a evolving that is not evolution in that sense, because we're becoming. You understand? Where you are today is not where you were 20 years ago. You understand? Or 30 years ago. Through the process of your study, through the process of your interaction with persons, through some of these things shape us. And when we talk about our natural intelligence, some things are in us, but some of these things shape us. And they bring out more, you understand? So that's basically what I embrace. So to the point where I would say to someone, even if you came out of a rape situation, a situation of being raped, a woman was raped, you came out, you're still not an accident in that sense. As bad as it is, as
Michael,
terrible
that's
as.
a serious discussion. Even if you are rich, you're not an accident.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Even if you came out of a situation of rape, you're still not an accident. You understand? Because you were in his fault. If we hold true to Psalm 139, we were in his faults. You understand? There's a narrow mind that everything of purpose have to come through. Let's say the union of marriage with persons. I cannot be that narrow-minded when I think of the Creator. I cannot be narrow-minded to just think. I mean, marriage is his thing, is his plan. You understand? But not everyone came through marriage. When you read even the lineage of Jesus, you understand. There was you read of some people that is into that lineage, that their whole situation wasn't perfect. There's a woman, Rahab the harlot. She's coming from that kind of background. You have all, so in terms of his purpose for us, when he released us or our manifestation came about, that because of we being in his thought, it's not an accident. So that's why I conclude that
Hmm.
whether
Hmm.
it's from rape
I get
or
it.
whether it's from whatever it is, you know, he has a way because every one of us, Stein, that's why I embrace it. That's why I am so big on purpose. Every one of us, whether we recognize it or we don't, we are manifested or we're born with purpose, with a purpose. We have to find it, we have to fulfill it. When I read of your bio, you know, there was something. I think there was some things became clear to you when you said you stepped into media. You know, so it shifted you a bit. All right,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
that was your
Mhm.
manifestation. You know, your purpose. Some of us take a
Mhm.
little time to be. I wanted to be a soldier, for example. I wanted to be in military, and
Oh my.
I wanted to be in military. I like the military kind of stuff.
You like the military.
Yeah,
Would you have gone to the Navy or the Air Force? Or...
well, the bad boys, the real bad ones, you know what I mean? But I like
Yeah, can
that.
you imagine that?
Yeah, and then, you know, at some point in my journey, I felt maybe an accountant might be a good idea. You understand?
Mm,
And
yeah.
I pursued I was, you know, going to be a police officer at some point. It didn't work out that way. And then God said, no, that's where I want you. And I have some, knowing my background, Stein, I was so shy. And I'm still shy in some ways. I couldn't stand before people and speak. I would be crying. I mean, seriously. And then look at where I'm at today. And I'm like, there's some of my friends from way back. I'd say, boy, you'd never think that you'd be that. You know what I mean? When you think about it,
Yes.
but manifest. You know, there's a purpose with our birth, and there's
Yeah,
some
yeah.
things that brings us into all of that. You know, and shape us. So that Sam is really powerful. You know,
I
that's
took I took a little time because to look back and to look at sort of the places that I passed. And over time, people began to tell me certain things about me that I didn't know.
uh,
For instance, I went back to my very days as a baby to find a lady who through the support of one of my very good friends, Julie London, I was able to identify the lady who was my babysitter.
okay,
And so I sort of got a sense. And then I remembered as a child of 3 or 4, I, I used to fit, like just used to fall to the ground and
okay,
froth at my mouth.
wow,
And it's what they call epilepsy.
hmm,
And my father said that I used to drink too much cod liver oil. But of course, I guess he probably didn't. You never know what he spoke to me whilst I was in utero. You remember, you remember one of the notes we had was
yeah,
sometimes you could,
big,
according I have seen experiments where children, a mother is pregnant and certain music is played at select times in the day. And it almost catches the child's attention in utero. And when the child is born and that music is played, the child immediately turns in the direction of the
correct,
sound.
yeah, yeah,
So even in utero, children can learn certain things. And then I grew out of that. I remember one lady told me, and my mother was protective, very protective of me because she had to take me to places. Everywhere she went, she would take me with her. She went to the river, she took me with her. She went to the garden, she took me wherever she went, she took me with her. She went to work at Geest, she took me with her
wow,
because I was vulnerable in a sense. I got a joke from a woman the other day. She told me she liked me when I was 9 or so years, 10 years. And she used to pass outside my mother's house to see if she would see me. She was a little older than me. And she remembered that every time my mother saw her, she would take me by my hand. My mother would take me by my hand and bring me into the house, you know. But from a very early, I'm able to trace those things. That's why so I'm sort of very fascinated by how people learn, because in the process, I had to discover what were some of the things which went into The word that comes is constituting, but making me a learner. And at 10 years, let me boast a little. At 10 years, I won a Northern District spelling competition.
Okay.
So at 10 years, I'm on stage at Portsmouth Government School, and there's a spelling bee competition. We have students from the north and so. And you wouldn't believe the word that I won with, because they ask the last three of us to spell the word Vacas.
Vicas. All right. The village of Vicas. All
Vacas.
right.
And the two other students didn't get it. The Portsmouth Government School is packed. My mother is seated in the crowd. And this little 10-year-old thought, Villelle Case. The gentleman said, correct. The place burst. I remember my mother bowing her head. You know what was my prize? A hard cover orange book called A Student's Companion,
I remember. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
1965. And you can well imagine, from that day I'm reading all the proverbs: make hay while the sun shines. I'm learning 90 degrees. I'm learning the capital of England is London. I'm learning from Paris, France. You learning a lot of things: sentence structure, sentence construction, phrases, conjunctions, those kinds of things, adjectives, adverbs, nouns, structuring of sentences, the verb to be. I am, you are, it is, we are, they are, what they mean. So from a very early time, I think what that says to me, it raises the question: are all children naturally bright, or is it the condition that the situation that they come into, Michael?
You're asking.
You see,
Yeah. Okay.
it's a very interesting thing. There are certain things that all children do, at least when the child is born. After the mother is taken care of and all that, and the baby is clean, and the baby is brought to her. Michael, you remember what was the first thing you did when you were born? When the baby
when they say, when they
as soon as
they slap you in your butt and you cry.
As soon as they gave was that?
I said they slap you in your butt and you let off a cry, right? That
Well,
apart from
okay. I mean, that is when you emerge. The OBGI would tell you this. When you get up. But the first thing, I mean, talking about this, one nurse told me that the first thing that a child takes in his breath, and the last thing that a human being gives off, is
Okay.
that gasp. But probably that will emerge as part of the discussion later. But the idea that the natural intelligence thing, from the time the baby is cleaned and brought to the mother, from the time the baby rests on the mother, the baby reaches for the breast.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Instinct.
Now,
Oh.
the question becomes, what is inherent in that child?
Wow.
What moves that child to immediately know that this is what is going to feed him or her? What is that? The breasts are filled. They are bursting with milk. There is something that emerges first before the milk actually comes out. I think my wife knows the name. Until afterwards, the milk begins to flow. The child reaches for that. And one notices, and all children do it.
Yeah.
It's not a Chinese child, a Russian child, a Belgian child, a Dominican child, a Guyanese child, an Afghan child. All children. Nancy Fontaine sang lamented how the baby mother breast run dry in certain very rough situations of famine. What is this inherent tendency. Um, I have read instances that's part of the human development stuff where people contend that it is. They call it an inherent tendency. You would call it, Michael, probably the spirit of God. I don't know. How would you call it? What
Well,
is this thing that moves the child?
well, it would be natural, for sure. It would be just, I can't just say it's instinctive because um, one word you speak of the connection in the womb, you speak of the connection in that, and but the child is being fed in the womb,
Yes.
whilst it's there for its development. It would be God. It's just a God given instinct or just natural. I would just maybe want to leave it
Wow,
as
wow, wow.
natural
You
that
see,
draws that
y-
child to that. Once they and it with it's with the aid of the mother, you know, that takes that person there. That takes the child there. And I guess with that assistance, it reaches us, to the breast.
mhm, how the mother feels when that child reaches, and it is, if you speak with women, they'll tell you there is a certain pleasure they find. I mean, my wife tells our son that he was breastfed for 1 year and 6 months because whilst our daughter was weaned in 1 year. So different children
Yeah.
seem to have something in them. It's almost like a timer. You see?
Time to start. Time
No,
to stop.
yes, time to stop, time to stop. That kind of thing. And they take the quantity that they actually need.
Right.
Those things. That is part of my natural intelligence
Yes.
conversation.
Yes.
It's almost as if there's something that we come into the world with.
Right.
It was formed in us. And as you say, we were manifested
Mhm.
and we were in God's thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, this is huge.
Right. Right. Yes.
This is huge. But we will put together the child would finally the child would come into the world with some 300 and something bones, and that would finally change to a smaller amount. The adult would end up with 186 billion to 100 billion neurons, 37.2 trillion cells, um, 7 trillion nerve endings. What are these things that naturally emerge, with the child? And interestingly, I remembered listening to, Dennis Joseph does Points of Light,
Right.
and one morning he was giving some counsel on not giving up, and he used the child as an example. He said, "Look at the child. When the child tries to walk and falls, but the child doesn't stop at the fall. The child gets up and tries to walk again." And I called him and I said, "That is so powerful, especially when you think that the child also can reach for something." No, we take it for granted that that reach is just a reach,
Mm.
but that is an extension of something that is inherent. And the child sees something in the distance, and that thing may be something of color. The child might have seen somebody, observed somebody sit on it, because children learn in context. And the child decides, I have to touch that thing which is 2 feet away from me.
Mm.
And the child reaches for the thing and misses it and falls and rises again
And riches.
and tries and reaches it and
Yeah.
falls and rises again and touches it. Bam! Now that is an achievement.
Right.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
That,
as you're saying this time, not to cut the thought, but I'm thinking because we're looking at the natural intelligence, we're looking at all of that. There is something about now those of us within the environment, within the space of that child, that can either thrust them into greater development of that which they're pursuing, or stop them. You know, I think there's such bravery in children. We see boys climbing, so they climb, and you say, "Don't," and we stop that climb. So if he would climb from the chair, he wouldn't even go, or what we used to call before the cabinet, if that is it, they would just keep doing some stuff, and at some point we put a fear in them by how we speak to them, you know, and we stop that progression, that growth in some way. So you were asking about the intelligence earlier, and you were just looking at the child and the child reaching and all of that. And I'm thinking as a spectator looking at the child, we
and as a
can,
parent,
as a parent, we can. I'm just the parent of one. You're four. I just have one, so I did have the pleasure of seeing all of that happen, except for my siblings. Um, but we can stop the child's progress. We can stop the child growth by how we now speak to that child. So the child is daring, the child is adventurous, the child wants to, like you say, reach, and it's like we could get, don't go there, don't go there, and you could just do some stuff, and all of a sudden you have created a certain level of retardation that
hmm
stops that natural thing. I'm not saying we give permission to everything, because that's what we are there to do, guide. But sometimes we overreach in the guiding, and as a result, we retard, progress in certain areas. That might, and then you spoke earlier, you raised it briefly of what would now make a child learn, and maybe another, look like they're not progressing, or they're not doing this. Could it be what we're exposed to? Could it be how we are spoken to? There was a time, for example, maybe I'm not sure if you were exposed to that, but some of our parents, because of their economic situation, would stop our dream, would say, "What you thinking about? Nobody in your family do that. Where are you gonna get the money?" And all kind of stuff like that. And they would stop you, and make you feel, okay, I can't reach, I can't go to college, I can't go there, I can't do this, I can't have this, because nobody in your family have done it. No, it has never happened before. What you think? Where are you gonna get this? And where you think? And just look at your family. We can sometimes instill that, and it becomes a belief. It becomes something that's like, okay, we begin to believe the things we are told, even if we are bright, and we can go further than everybody else, if you understand what I'm saying.
yes, for those of us who grew up earlier on in the 60s and probably 70s, um, we might have had parents who shouted at us. I know instances where parents used to tell the children, "You're too stupid."
Right.
Now, just imagine a child is 3 months old in the womb, and at 3 months, the eyes begin to emerge
Yeah.
from the brain.
Yeah.
In the first trimester,
Right.
God, my latest saying. I think I should put that instead of thoughts are too many to hold on to one. I think I should put God is always on time.
That's good. That's good.
You like that one, don't you?
Yes, that's good. Always on time.
Yeah, God is always on time.
And your manifestation is on
And
time.
what in the first trimester, the eyes begin to appear from out of the brain,
Yes.
and you can see those when doctors look at, uh, you know, and they can look at those things in their scans and they can determine, oh my God, this is it. You begin to see little things that shaping like little ears beginning to take shape. But those sensibilities, you have a little eye that is forming, a little pupil, little iris, a little retina, a little optic nerve, that connects to what the brain is from, all that tender intelligence. And, the child is formed, and that tenderness, the situation in the household may be terrible. I mean, you hear the stories, unwanted pregnancies, um, situations of poverty, situations of lack, lots of
Yeah.
children sleeping in very, strange conditions.
Right.
Um, so many children in one little room. Um, Mother doesn't have, enough. Father doesn't contribute to. And that is, so you're beginning to understand the picture we are painting, given from the very start of the manifestation. We have a natural being, a natural intelligence. And intelligence is all that constitutes a whole being,
Right.
because all things have come together to form that being. And they have come together in such intricate and wonderful ways. You have toes, linked up to feet, feet to ankle, ankle to leg, leg to knee, knee to thigh. And they're little ones, about some of them are 6 pounds, some of
Right.
them are,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Uh-huh.
and you say, this comes into the world. So what we have to do, what we would suggest from here, and I would like to suggest, I know conditions are hard, but how do we treasure them? And I am almost sure, even if when you mentioned rape, I'm almost sure that every mother who gives birth to a child loves that child.
Yes.
When the child
Uh,
comes, emerges, and that child breathes and that child cries, and they bring that child to the mother. You see, that child takes the child, that's mine, the smell of the child,
mm.
the touch of the child's skin, the tenderness, you know, and after a while, that child comes into a world and begins to be affected by smells, by sound, by voices, by things people say, by heat, by light,
Yeah.
by water, you know, and food, types of food. And what I think probably after a while the eyes begin to open up, but the child begins to hear. We have not done enough. As pastors, I challenge you to preach a little more on the saying, faith comes by hearing. Because hearing is such a, you know,
Well, it is said that hearing in our senses, it's the first to develop because you hear
ah,
very early, and it's something I've spoken about, that that's why you mention a child is connected to even in the womb, it's connected to the environment. So you could speak. A few weeks ago, I was on the basketball court, and I was. There's this lady who came. She's pregnant, and she's there with her young daughter, just fetching water. Uh, and I'm hearing, as I'm doing my exercise and just doing the basketball story, I'm hearing her, her daughter is saying, and she's saying, look, he's moving. And there's actually having a conversation. And I found it so fascinating. Anywhere, just a mother, she had a young girl, and she's also now carrying a child, and they're having a conversation with the child. And whilst they're having a conversation with the child, she's saying, "Look, it's moving, or he's moving." Well, she said the boy, "He's moving," and stuff like that. And you could just the joy. just the excitement with which they were relating with that unborn child at that point. But the child was responding, you know. So
Yes,
we were
yes.
told that the hearing, is developed very very early. That's why when you talk about our natural intelligence, that's why you mentioned certain things your father said. That's why I said we should be speaking. Pregnant women, along with their partner, should be speaking to the child, saying positive things, even within the environment. So you a child could grow up with a tongue that just swears because that's all they were exposed to, or they could grow up, saying certain different, stuff like that. And we have for some time asked ourselves, why do, for example, a child being born in the ghetto has a certain mindset against a child who was born in what we would call upper class? Why that certain mindset? Because the appreciation of that person in the womb and creating for that person that environment to come into, by what we're communicating, is held differently by the one in the ghetto, unlike the one who is up there. You understand? And so you see that afterwards. So one has to constantly say to themselves, what I feed that little one with, is important to their development. And they surely finding, their place with the intelligence that they were made, because I don't believe God makes a poor child with a certain IQ against a rich child. You understand? I don't think when you read, if we hold true to what we read earlier, Psalm 139, I don't think he discriminates and say, all right, you have that, and you have that, and you have that, and you have this. I think we all have to appreciate the fact that there's some things that is unique to, that is special with all of us. You go back, Sam and Stein, and we spoke about the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. There was a time within our society, a certain class of people were exposed to education. Even let's go back race. Let's go back to our race. As black persons, and I don't want to make the conversation racist, but I have kind of followed enough our history, the history of us as blacks, to understand our intelligence, our inventions and stuff like that. So that when we were colonized, as one of the things the masters did was to ensure that we did not, with the intelligence, our forefathers and the intelligence, they ensured that they could not pass it on. So they create, the absentee father story, where when they used us men, strong black men as breeders, and they disconnected us with our siblings, with our seed. You understand? So that we could not pass on the intelligence, certain things. So there we became more and more illiterate as a race, because the masters ensure that we were not exposed to certain things, and then when we were further on emancipated, they went through the whole process of, look, keep a thing, you put it in a book, they won't read it. So we have, I worked at the Chronicle for a while, and I remember moving around, even sometimes in distributing, and folks will take the paper, Stein, and would begin to look at pictures and not read. So based on the picture, they would say, I'm not buying that, or that got nothing. But the paper was loaded with great articles and good content, But based on the picture, that's why we tried our best to ensure that the front page carried certain type of pictures to create an attraction. But even then, they would just look at it and say, oh, that person, oh, he, or oh, she, and they would just leave the paper alone. You understand? So we had that with us, that we're not reading, we're not exposing ourselves to
Mhm.
develop that. So in some ways, it retarded our race, And but are we less intelligent than the Caucasian, or are we? No, does God make certain people with a certain
Yeah,
IQ or brain
yeah.
against another?
We are, it's just that there were certain conditions in which we grew. It's a lot, there's a lot about, how children learn to speak,
Right,
even, children learn language by observing how people use it,
right,
and even though we do not notice, but when somebody says come and they see you do that, they observe those things
right,
and they come to associate the sound of come with the movement of people.
right,
And it's interesting that, if people are not accustomed to read, reading has to be practiced.
right,
People are not accustomed to music. If people are deprived of the ability to learn, then as they say, you know, those neuroscientists tell you the left side of your brain, is language. Certain things happen there, and there are certain detailed things just how we learn. Some people say if you are not fed, food, clothing, and shelter, this is huge,
yes,
in
yes,
the development of any. So hungry people, what our songwriters say, a hungry man is an angry man.
right,
How are you supposed to go to school hungry
and learn,
and learn?
right, yeah,
And yet we have stories. I mean, most of us can tell stories of very little, that we could have as children going to school.
hmm,
I remember we used to laugh at boys fellas used to laugh at boys who have dry coconut for their
for
recess.
yeah, for the snack,
But that was a lot of omega, 3 and good for the brain, but we
yeah,
used to laugh. But hungry people um, will find it difficult to learn.
right,
And that is why it is good to have a child fed, to have a child clothed. But there are other things. I get the feeling that at least most people can do that, send their children to school, at least even though they get bread and butter and something, but they can, in a sense. But what really concerns me is the role that a father plays in the life of a child.
right. Just keep that
The
for
mother has a.
just keep that for It's 11 minutes after 9 o'clock here on the
Are we going
nation.
to play Child of the Universe
Well,
by Les Crane or
well,
something?
we can most probably do that now. All right, and if you're just tuning in, it's we're Get Empowered is a program. My guest tonight is Steinberg Henry. We are in a conversation around natural intelligence, in an anti-artificial intelligence driven world. We want to just create the awareness that look, we are smart. God have given us just an ability to think, to create stuff. So we're having that conversation, and Stein just brought up something about the role of fathers within the child. But before we get into that, maybe we could just drop a little bit of that song, "Child of the Universe." Let's take a little bit of it.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have arrived.
Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and stars. You have a right to be near, and whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it's true.
Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel.
We'll take more of this as we roll along. A Child of the Universe, a great song. And, I was just thinking as I'm listening. By the way, it's 14 after 9. If you're listening, my guest tonight is Steinberg Henry. We're discussing and having conversation actually around natural intelligence. You can be part of the conversation. The number is 1-800-327, 1-800-327, or 448-3283. 448-3281, 448-3281, 448-3279. If you're out of Dominica, 305 432 9744. That's 305 432 9744. You could always drop me a message via WhatsApp. Some of you are dropping in messages, and we are happy that you're dropping messages. Some of you are reacting and just letting us know that the program and the conversation is inspiring. I'm getting some of you. I've got some listening in Atlanta, Stein. I've got some folks listening. I'll maybe do the shout out later on. But folks are listening. Stein, as I was listening to this song, though, it came to mind before you run with the thought on Fathers on the Roll. It came to mind that what around us, listen to the song will help shape and develop or retard us. Who around us will shape us or develop or retard us, Do you agree with that? When we talk about the natural intelligence, because we would want to agree that we all have the potential to be, I don't want to use the word great in that sense, but to aspire to become, to fulfill purpose and to be a good contributor to our world. Not everyone is to be a doctor. I have had a great appreciation, Stein, for going to a place and have someone who is just a hustler help me, for example. So if I go to, let me just use a place. If I go to PH William, for example, and there's a guy who's a hustler helping me put some sand on my, all right. I have gotten a great sense of appreciation for that person, to the point where I can see that everyone will be sitting in an office. I can't say, I go to the filling station, I have a great appreciation for the young people that are filling the tank. I go to the supermarket. It's a great appreciation for the fact that you could find things on the shelf, and there's not chaos. I'm going to go through a whole sort of rubble to find what I want, So there's a great appreciation, the plumber, electric, whoever they are, there's a great appreciation for the diversity, So I don't want it to sound like everyone has to be at a certain place. But I believe we are made, but there's some things that can shape us and develop us, so there's things that can retard us and just set us back. My thought. Your response.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. It's a lot. Not people. I growing up in 16, 17, 18 years, I spent a lot of time on the deck of ships with sailors.
Seriously?
And I mean,
All right.
to be a sailor is something else. Um, I would see hucksters. I mean, who are these people?
The hustlers, yeah.
You know, they came out of that same natural intelligence, that space that they were manifested, as you said. You know, they came into different processes. There are people who were younger than me who were able to set up businesses, and no
Right.
matter how smart I think I am,
Yeah.
they barely had any sort of formal education, and they set up businesses.
Right. Right.
There seems to be something a little more complex than just. That's why some some educators draw a difference between schooling. You know, people talk about education, they talk about schooling. For the Frere, it's just schooling. You know, you went to school, but school is just one part of
Right.
the whole process of life. So yes, it is very true. Um, people, diversity, isn't that the beautiful thing about the world?
You're right.
We each have different fingerprints.
Yes.
We come into this space with different skills, different talents, different callings. I remember a Chinese friend of mine used to tell me that there is a Chinese belief that at any one time on the earth, seven people are controlling the equilibrium of the earth, and one of them could be a beggar.
Wow. Okay.
In a sense, it is our worldly achievements are not really. They are good. They keep families alive. They help us grow. They build societies and communities and so. But there seems to be for some people a deeper spiritual connection that we have, an alignment that we have with the universe that guides us to do certain things at select times. So yes, the thing is, people to you find as you grow in the community that you grow in the household that you grow in, this is what builds. And I don't think we capture that as Caribbean people. We didn't capture the fact that what happened in the household, the going to church, the responsibility to clean the yard, to carry the water, to go to the garden, to do an errand. I don't think we thought that those were also media of learning,
Hmm.
mediums of learning. I don't think we ever thought that those things, you know, I don't think we gave it much. What also fascinates me, and probably I still don't have a thorough understanding of that, is that some children are born in poverty, Michael.
Uh-huh.
So many.
Yeah.
What you call poverty, it doesn't mean they I mean, they had food, they had clothing, they had a home to live in. A lot of us grew up sleeping on the floor,
Right.
but you know, they were able to rise
Right.
out of
Yeah.
that.
Right. Right. Yes.
You see, no, what was it? What was that God's blessing? Was it a guidance? The mother was vexed like hell because the father wasn't there. You know, what was going on? And yet they still were able to triumph.
Yeah. Yeah.
They still were able to rise above all things. Is that the ideal? Not really. Can we still do something to make sure that we give our children? Yes. Engage them, talk with them, have conversations with them. And those conversations don't necessarily have to be about anything to do with their arithmetic or their mathematics or their
Right.
science or their social studies. If you
Yeah.
can, you can.
Yeah.
But having conversations with children, there's learning that takes place outside of school.
Right. Right.
And that's why they say the right side of the brain, which deals with creativity. How do musicians learn, which deals with art and other expressions of spontaneity. those things calm, those things help the brain to grow. When you teach a child how to take a decision, okay, you do this, I'm going to do this. What do you think? You speak with children like this. Come on, do this with me, wash this with me, knock this nail, pull this. What you do with this child is build up that child's prefrontal cortex. You see, so or when a child goes to sleep, you know, uh, um, and, and and that child dreams, um, what happens to them when they wake? Do they speak that dream? Do they go to school with it? What does it mean to them?
Right.
Do they have the freedom to talk to their mother and father about something that's happening to them um, in school, in their own bodies, with another friend? Obviously, if somebody strikes them, they'll come home and say, "Mommy, that boy hit me in
Right.
school."
Yeah.
If they come up with a pencil that is not theirs, their mother say, "Go bring it back." So they learn all those little moments help. I am saying these things to encourage those people who have children, not to take them for granted, not to take what you do for granted,
Right.
and when, even no matter what little you have, every step you take to make that child, to engage that child in a conversation, builds them psychologically.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? It means that they begin to have a sense of what it is to think about right and wrong. A child gets a sense of what is right and what is wrong. You need to have that kind of child has to be able to see danger. How did they say it? The proverb of burnt child dreads fire? You don't necessarily have to get your hands on the stove or on the fire, on the coal for you to know that. But how do you know? So I am calling for parents' involvement with their children at home and in the community and in the churches, in the market, in the garden, on the beach, wherever you go with your child, walking in town. Engage, always engage the child because it matters. When you take the child to shop, when you take the child downtown Roseau, downtown Bridgetown, everybody listening to us, downtown St. John's.
Yes.
It is a fascinating experience.
Right.
Not only do they hear songs and they see people, but what it does is that it builds, because look at it this way, for them to see anything new is for them to engage
Right.
the neurons in their brain.
Right.
And then they see, so look at this, it's red, it's
Right.
green, oh look at that car, it's blue, it's white.
Yeah.
But they saw color. To have seen color, their brain has to emit a particular chemistry.
Right.
The neuron has to go through what you call the axon to the synapse to connect to the dendrite.
Right.
And when two neurons clash, there's learning. The child gets home and says, "Mommy, you remember that white car?"
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So we did not, well, let us not talk about what we did not do. We need to value those little moments with if we do it with love. Because love conquers all.
Yes.
If you were to shout, you were speaking earlier on about the children who climb. Child, get down there, you will fall.
Right. Yes. Yes.
But how does a boy learn to become a cyclist if he does not take his bike and the mother tell him, "I tell you to go on the road already, the car will knock you down." But that boy riding his bike. How do you begin to, you see, we have to let go and at the same time guide. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
You see? And speak with. You don't have to know. We mentioned the fathers. No, it's very special to me because I didn't see my father for over 14 years. And when I did meet him, it is the greatest gift I ever had in my life. What is it? There is something about males. The male has a spiritual responsibility, but I guess we feel it's probably maintenance, money at the courts is a significant. Um, you know, but even if you are not married to the woman, you can go to the house, you can find a child. If you find a little child 3 years old running in the yard, you lift up the child. From the time you lift up the child, there's contact, there's brain chemistry, there's imagery, there's muscle, there's blood. But they didn't teach us that. They didn't teach us that when the father said, hey, your leg, and the father pulled the little child toe, all that. Take the child's fingers, touch the child's head, lift up the child, send the
Stimulus.
child up,
Yeah.
catch the child, hold the child, take a little water, feed the child. My daughter told me about a scenario where she entered a conference. She's 40 plus years. And she entered the conference here in Georgia. And a lady was looking at her and she didn't realize it. And she had to do a presentation and she made her presentation and she stood up and she did a presentation, and well received and so. And after a while, a lady came to her and told her, young lady, did you grow up with your father? She said, yes. Why? Did you have a very good relationship with him? She said, yes. She said, I'm studying father-daughter relationships. And I noticed throughout my research that when daughters grew up with their fathers, they develop a positive sense. They enter into public spaces. She said, I noticed when you walked in we walked in with confidence. You spoke with confidence. You presented yourself with a certain. Well, that can happen for all of us. And you don't have to be rich.
Yeah.
If you go to a community where your child is and you take the child for a little walk,
Right.
just around the corner, this 4-year-old, they're walking with my daddy, you hold their hand. You see a lady with a tray with some mangoes, you buy one. The mango has a certain color because children they learn things. They are not like us. They have a certain way of conceptualizing things. Sometimes they go in their world by themselves. Their life really has no law as yet. You see, so this is the time between 0 and 7 when you play.
Wow.
No, Michael, you see that play business?
We're saying what you're just what you're saying here is so loaded because you're saying to us because we're talking about natural intelligence. These moments of interaction, the walk, the buying the mango, all of that stuff, and now you're going into play. These moments, you're saying, they are the stimulators, but they also help in that development of our or of the natural thing. You understand?
Yes.
Wow, that is so amazing. That is so good.
Yes, it is. It is.
But let me just
Because
make a comment though. We have some listeners there. That one person is just sharing because I want to engage them in some ways, and we keep the thought. Good night, my two great friends. That's Glenda. Maybe a great topic tonight. She says everyone has a gift. Some embrace it and excel, and some disown it. All gifts are special, no matter what they are. And listening to you mentioning the fathers and just the role, I don't want to use the word subtle, but is that a subtle but less maybe conscious your way of developing gifts. Would you say that, and developing intelligence? Because you mentioned the role. You're talking about the role of the father. You're talking about all of that. That would be maybe a conscious contribution, and even sometimes you're not even conscious that you're making, or you're making inputs, and you're adding stuff and downloaded stuff. Is that what you're saying there in the
Yeah,
develop?
I mean, when you think of it, if you speak to many children who grew up in what we call country, I mean, you know, they had to carry bananas.
Right.
They had to lift up big bundle of wood
Yeah.
to take home to feed the fire in the kitchen. They had to go down by the bay and gather the fish. They had to carry water.
Right.
Somebody said something was inherent. It left a certain something in their consciousness that told them, I do not want to do that for the rest of my life, or I said I was not going to do this for the rest of my life. I learned all of these things. These things became integral to my well-being. These things strengthened me. These things, blah, blah, blah. But all along, what we did not get and what we are learning now with this advent of play and the value of play to the child, what we did not, because we got food, we got clothing, we got shelter, and I must say we got a good dose of church.
Yeah. Right.
Um, I I don't know if your Passion Translation has the word brain,
Brain.
but nowhere in the Bible do I see the word brain. I see heart,
Right.
I see mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I may have I seen liver, but if you think about it, you know, we have just imagine if we have liver, we have kidneys,
Mm-hmm.
lungs, we have a heart, you know, we we, we have brain, we have skin,
Mm-hmm.
and we walk. It amazes me, Michael, that if somebody told me, go down across the road here and ask for, you will see Michael Jacques. He's a spirit, you know. I said, "But if he's a spirit, how am I going to see him?" Here he is. Michael has a physical structure. Michael has an anatomy. And they told us that, we read all that happens as you grow old. Um, you know, Solomon writes it beautifully is it Ecclesiastes, or we read all that changes, and we say, but strangely enough, or as you mentioned our ancestors earlier on,
Mm-hmm.
this right brings the topic into a whole different realm, but it's part of a natural intelligence discourse. You mentioned our ancestors and how our people were separated from the Dominican leader, Rosie Douglas, had a thing he used to tell me. He used to say that Caribbean people tend to be alienated. So we are separated from each other in a very subtle way. We tend to have had that historically. We can be separated from each other. We can be separated from the work that we do. We can be separated. They say in America, 80% of the people who go to work don't like the job they do.
Wow.
We can be separated from the product that comes out of the work that we do. Those are important. What catches my attention is that we can be separated from ourselves. And you find here you have this beautiful child growing out of natural intelligence, coming into the world coming into a family, whether nuclear or extended, father, mother, uncle, sister, cousin, blah, 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 niece, auntie, and finding that they do not know their body. This is huge. Because, you know what Dr. Hilroy Thomas told me once? He said, Stein, every child in every school should learn two subjects, history and biology. History because it gives you a sense of where you came from. Because that beautiful being that came into existence, that was manifested, that demonstrated all that intelligence through that is a form. It is a form that grows, it stretches, it sees, it reaches out, it learns language. It learns to say thank you and yes and no and please and excuse me. It goes to school, it learns words, it learns arithmetic, it learns math. It learns language, languages. It learns about the society. It learns to respect and show respect for. It learns all of the beautiful things in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And yet, what about its own body? Why do we only know, or if we are looking at new systems of education, for instance, how is it that I should walk in something that I do not know? Why should I not? And that is the intelligence that in a sense is emerging now, where people are becoming aware of everything that is in them. All of that is within me. And I learned to exploit as an 18-year-old because that's why I can see the value in knowing one's own body and its potential. Do I know all of it? No. When you have 37.2 trillion cells, I mean, what do you know? Is it as vast as the Milky Way? I mean, if we were to push the discussion, but I think I learned two things, well, three, from meeting my father, and that was an integral part of my work. I explored that a bit as a PhD student. The first thing that I learned, when I met him, he thought that I had CXE and I had O levels, and well, not CXE, it was O levels in those days, and blah blah blah, and I had 7 of them, and I seem to have been doing well. But 7 in those days was probably appreciable, 9 and 10. And he said, okay, we have another set of learning to do. And I said, what is it? And he said, what is faith? I tell that story frequently because the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen, transformed my life, Michael.
Okay.
As I reflected on it more and more, my life was just the substance. There's something in me that is, it's substantial, but it represents almost a gift, which is what we're talking about, in lieu of a larger matter. The Holy Spirit comes in, and I sort of reflected on that a lot. And then he asked me a second question. What is mind? And I didn't know what was mind, but I could think about thinking and say it was something to do with thinking. He said, mind is a composition of thoughts. Mind is a composition of thoughts. And I said, wow. And fast forward, I entered the book of Hebrews and I'm reading, I will write my laws on your heart and inscribe them on your mind. It's in chapter 10, the covenant. And I was like, wow, if the laws of the Most High are written in my composition of thought, there must be something inherently beautiful.
About it.
I think that changed my life completely.
Wow.
And I learned to, well, of course, there were lots of other things that I learned just being with him, from learning to cook, learning to cook my fig and my latte and my back and neck, roasting breadfruit and, doing lots of stuff together, cooking grain, rice, and those kinds of things. But what it did for me, and my mother was there and wonderful to have guided me to him also. But what it did for me, with all the bashing that fathers get for not maintaining, I decided, the fathers, it's not so much, although you have to go to the courts, it's that legislation, all of that stuff that has come down, and you have to, give your children something because the mother needs support to help her in the best way you can. But there is something more. There is a guidance. There is a conversation. There is
A presence
a
too,
sort of
Simon.
what was that?
There's a presence. I mean, sometimes it's
A
just
presence.
a presence. Just that. Creates something. Too.
And when it is said that as the child, the child learns to remember. So the child says, "Oh, look, daddy coming," because the child gets to know you.
Right.
And to recognize you is a powerful thing in a child's brain, because that child now, to remember you, it has to create an image,
Yes.
something they see and say, "Oh, this is who he is." And every time an image is created, the brain releases chemistry into the blood. So a child who is joyful every time they see the father tends to have a blood supply that nourishes. And it's strange. It's not only food that does it.
Wow. Yeah.
You see, just imagine you have bad memories. You know the kind of chemistry that goes into people, and you're just in a sad mood.
Right. Right.
Because one gentleman calls the blood a culture medium. A culture medium. Another person I read, I actually sent the quote from my friend, said, well, I don't know if did I send it? Did I send it to you, Michael? The blood is an archive.
Okay. Let me.
You see, it holds memory, and it has a certain frequency. So those little moments that we do not want to get too strange about those things, but
Yeah.
the father take the child for a little walk. Just imagine when the father opens a book and begins to say, "This is the word. Oh, that's a B. That's a C." Or they roll on the ground together, and the child laughs and screams. That's
So,
beautiful.
Stan, are you suggesting though with that utterance about fathers that I mean we have seen people go past that, but are you saying it could in some ways retard, well, that might be a strong word, learning, or with the presence of the father it propels one further into the learning? Is that what you're saying?
I think it does.
Oh, okay.
I really think it does. And as I said, um, although that is, you may have exceptions. You have children who probably never had the care of a father. and you had children who had all of the father care, beautiful nuclear families, mommy, daddy, and they just drifted
Right,
away.
right, yeah, yeah,
You see, but I am, I'm of the view that there is, again, is guidance.
okay,
How do you guide a child? Then, of course, somebody may say, but Stein, you have a visual impairment. What happened? Is it genetic? Well, those kinds of discussions, people come up with those things. Yes, it could be.
yeah.
It
But
has been said to be, those kinds of things.
yeah,
So you have all of those discussions that can come up.
yeah. As you mentioned it though about just your visual impairment, you did, from what I read in your bio, you did your PhD, coming out of that situation of, your. Let me just get that part. Uh, it says there, 20 or so years ago, Stein Henry experienced difficulty with his sight, and by 2015 had lost a significant amount of his ability to see. However, in 2018, determined as he has always been, to transcend the odds, Stein Henry entered Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where he converted the visual experience into a study. 4.5 years later, he would receive a PhD whilst blind, a feat that few persons have been able to accomplish in the world. A PhD whilst blind. Is this coming out of your natural intelligence? I mean, you mentioned this, and is that coming from that, or you talking of everything from that, before that brought you to that place, to be able
Yeah,
to do
well,
that,
if I were to follow from what you and I have been talking about, it seems like certain things are manifesting.
manifest it. All right.
Um, yes, but I believe I'm in the path. How do there's a word that the word will,
Uh-huh.
WILL.
Right.
Um, it is important to have that will.
Okay.
You've heard they say that parents can encourage their children,
Right.
and when you encourage your children from small, they tend to push
Yeah.
beyond the given,
Precisely. Yeah.
irrespective of what may arise. They tend to transcend. I read, I have been doing this faith and mind research for a while, and I came across a Catholic priest who said that mind has a twin, and I was amazed. He said the twin of mind is will.
Will.
So it's one thing to have thought, but Michael, can you move your thoughts? You see, um, it's a very
It's
interesting.
interesting I just say that, Sam, because
I
there's a verse that actually ties that. There's a verse in the Bible, I think it's in Philippians, that says, He works in us to will and to do of His good. So,
yes,
He works us to will, you know and will is really part of the soul, that helps you in your learning. When you talk about our soul, we talk about our intellect, our emotions, our will, and all of that. So the idea of will as part of that process of moving you, propelling you, moving you into developing, that natural intelligence. Because I feel we all get it as a gift. We all get it as a seed, and what we do with it is important. That's why I talk about your manifestation towards your purpose. And you mentioned there's certain things you mentioned. Coming to DBS Radio help move you in a particular direction. Then going to study, at Mona, help, move you in a particular, and all of that. I guess it's will, I am getting some inclinations. I'm getting a feel. I'm getting to some stuff that is now shifting me and turning me. So that is so
and you
important.
see, in the midst of all of this, in the midst of all of this, there were some difficult. There are difficult moments.
Right.
There are things arising that proved to be difficult. It was always difficult for me to leave my family to go to study. It was always, the sort of things. It was difficult. You have to keep in touch. You have to do some things. But somewhere in all of this, and it's not so much. I mean, I come into the discussion, but it's more, how do we empower? How do we encourage people? How do we get people to believe that it is possible wherever you are? There are people who think of things, people who want to go into business, people who want to travel, people who want to write books, people who want to go into computer programs, people who want to go to university, people who want to learn how to use our favorite thing, AI,
Right.
people who want to build a house,
Yeah.
people who want to get married, people who want to aspire to become politicians and doctors and lawyers and builders, people who want to just find a job. And Khalil Gibran, the Lebanese poet, said, work is love made visible. People who just want to work.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is, at some point in time, you have a thought. This is a very delicate thing. You have a thought, and the thought says, you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you cannot do this. You can also tell
No,
yourself,
right. I can do it.
I can do it,
Right.
I can do it. And it's not like turn on the faucet and you get the water. It will not come that quickly. But because the body is an intelligence and the brain and body are interconnected, as you speak what you want to do,
Wow. Yeah.
or you think what you want to
do.
do, and you practice thinking and speaking what you want to do, the body begins, the brain begins, the soul begins to adjust to it.
Right.
All the children who did, I hear the children who do CXE, and I hear them say, Michael, I thank God, for helping me.
Yeah.
And I thank my parents. And I prayed. I used to pray a lot. And prayer is an exercise of your will.
Right.
Would you say that, Michael? You are
Yes.
a
Amen.
pastor.
Amen.
It is. It is
Amen.
an expression of something that you are digging it out of you. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. Like, what is this? I am not going to pass. I'm not going to pass. I think I'm going to fail. I think I'm going to fail. Why don't you, when you get the thought, because the thought will arise.
Right. Yes.
I think I'm going to fail. Whenever that thought arises, say to yourself,
Yes.
and it works 100% of the time,
Po-
I think I'm going
Stan,
to
Stan,
pass.
Stan,
and
you're
surpass.
so correct. Not to part into part of what I say here on Get Empowered is don't give yourself an excuse. Give yourself a reason. One of the things I believe is, and I share that from experience. I believe there are answers all around us. If you say you can't, you shut yourself down. I'll give you a little example. I was given something that I could not, it took 3 of us to load it on my pickup. That was given to me, and I had to take it right away. All right. I took it home alone because I had to take it, and 3 of us took it on the pickup, and I got home with this, and I had to take it down from the pickup to get back to work, and I'm alone. I didn't get any help, and I'm there with this thing, and I'm like, what? How do I get this down? How do I get this down? And I wasn't saying I can't get it down, because I believe, when you ask yourself questions, you stimulate your natural intelligence. You ask yourself questions rather than say I cannot do this. I tell people it's like say how can I do it? Because if you say
Yes.
you cannot, you've shut yourself down. Your ability to think, your intelligence, that you shut that down. But if you say how can I, you are now you've activated your brain. You've activated everything in you to find a solution. you know. So that's basically the process. So when I say, how can I get it down, rather than I cannot get it down, I got an answer. I when I looked around, I had some tires. I had some tires around. I just backed the pickup, put the tires down, and started to rock the thing and let it fall on the tire, which created a cushion. Okay,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
I simply hold one end. I guess they talk about law of physics or whatever, and I just move it and just rest it down and ease it down without damaging the thing. It was heavy, but I asked the question, how can I?
Yes,
How can I? And
yes,
I think
yes,
when we talk
yes.
about our natural intelligence, a lot of us stop short and stop and, rub ourselves and sell ourselves short because we're giving ourselves excuses. We are not saying,
Mhm.
how can I have this business? How can I have this thing? How can I do this? How can I become that? How can I? And so because we are giving ourselves excuses, we've shut down that smart
Mhm.
side of us,
Mhm.
if you understand what I'm
Yes,
saying.
yes, 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 yes. There is so much to be gleaned from. You're speaking, and so a thousand things rush to my mind. Then there's this other side of it. We spent a lot of time talking about the children on the young child growing. Um, we have recently, only 2 or 3 days ago, 2 days ago, I had reference made to Dominica centenarians, and
Uh,
there were 16 of them.
uh,
And I heard Ophelia Mary say that they there are few things that distinguish them. They 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 ate what came from the
right,
ground,
right. Yes, she
so
mentioned
they
yes.
ate a lot of natural because what is in the body knows what is natural, eh?
Right,
It
yes,
knows what
yes.
comes from the ground. The body agrees with that, because body and blood, earth and sky, it's beautiful stuff integrated. So they ate what came from the ground. They had good relationships, and they also um, they were very mobile. They were moving because the body has feet. That's why I love biology, the feet, the ground, the gravity. You know, you know they use their hands with 27 bones in the hands. Everything is well organized from its natural basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's the knowledge that we now need, because we're coming into a time in this time that is beyond artificial intelligence, where natural intelligence is saying to us, discover yourself. And self, because historically we've been told, 400 years of slavery jammed our bodies, into non-existence. Um, our bodies became instruments of labor. We were ashamed of
Right,
them.
yes, yeah,
Our women were flogged and whipped in the field.
yeah.
Our men were tortured and brutalized. And by the time we turned around, somebody came and told us that our body was flesh. And the things of the world. Sorry, Pastor. Fleshly desires, and so
Yeah,
they
yeah,
don't. So flesh became problematic.
yeah.
But it's not so much for us as these people who have a long line of melanin running through all our organs, who heal very quickly. What has happened? And I do not want to make it too grand. Ophelia also said that these older people had a relationship with a higher power.
Right,
Now, education as a discipline has now begun to realize that it's not only biopsychosocial, it's not only biology, psychology, and the social relationships and so on. It's also, you have to have a spiritual relationship,
right.
because that is like an extension of yourself. And that is like lifting up your inner being to a force that is, in a sense, that is outside of you, but finds reference in the beauty that is around you. Um, there is a belief that there is a body of knowledge that argues that the same number of neurons that are in the human brain is similar to the number of stars in
It
the
is.
galaxy.
Wow.
There are lots of relationships between what is in the body and what is around the body in the universe.
Uh-huh.
You know, the scientists told us 80% water
Yeah,
is
yeah,
on the earth and
yeah.
80%
Percent
water is
is
in
the
the. There's
body,
something about the earth and the human body that is
that's
very
connected.
similar. One gentleman said our bones are crystals. And what are crystals? What do they receive? When we walk around and go about our daily business, are we just walking in ourselves, or are we walking in relation to what is around us? And what is around us? Nature Island, Dominica, what is around us? Is it water? Is it greener? Is it
Yeah.
life force? Is it sulfur?
Mm.
What is it? Is it the ground? Is it the light? Is it the air that is clean? What is it that nourishes us other than what we eat?
Yeah.
What is it that nourishes us other than what we speak? And here comes the matter. What we speak can empower or disempower us. How does the
Yes. Yeah.
scripture say about the tongue, Michael?
Which one?
The tongue is
According
something.
to James, it's evil, a deadly poison. It's can't be tamed by men. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah,
that one. It's
James
almost
3.
like
Yeah,
it's almost as there's an evil in the tongue.
yeah, yeah. If it's not tamed
And
and trained, yeah,
yes, and so we can speak ourselves out of existence
yeah. The power of our words,
because
yeah, yeah,
mhm, because we have these beautiful people born out of 400 years of activity coming to 500 years of activity coming into existence now in 2025. You have to be empowered. Why do you have to be empowered? Because it is your time and God is on time. Why? Because the people of Africa are rising, the indigenous peoples who were always suppressed and repressed throughout the world are rising. Women have risen to take up different positions. We are now understanding more and more that we have a history that is not only back in them days. I hate to hear that, back in them days. It's not only that, but it is ever present with us. Why? Oh, and the conversation could go till 1 o'clock because I've entered into my realm, the realm of active imagination.
yeah. Okay.
We have a gift,
Uh-huh.
and it is God blessed, it is God sent. It is God instituted, in a sense, established within us. And that is my message. No, here's the problem. There's poverty, there's lack, there's discrimination, there's class, there are divisions, there's oppression. Just think about that. I could talk all the talk I want. There are people who are hurting.
Yes.
And maybe if they could only hear us, if they hear us, and somebody could only believe, I probably cannot make it today, but what if I go to town and try again?
Mm.
Maybe if I go and ask again,
Not to give up. That's the thing. Yeah,
not to give up,
yeah,
because the air is with you, the light is with you, the ocean waves are with you, the stars are with you, the moon is with you, the time, because somewhere in you is an imagination Albert Einstein says imagination is greater than knowledge. It's your gift. It's your ability to think.
Yes.
Do not be afraid of it. Think of it. Step out. Try something. Do something. This is what I do. I say, come on, what can you do? Don't just give up. Is there one more thing you can possibly do? I met a gentleman. Every now and then I got the opportunity to speak with one or two blind people. I saw, there's a place called the Center for the Visually Impaired in Atlanta. I remember I used to go there once, and a gentleman came to a focus group that was being conducted, and he was weeping because he came with his suit, Michael. He came from his 20th floor,
Uh,
and he came to the CVI, Center for the Visually Impaired, and to talk about he was losing his sight. And Michael, he was weeping to the max. And he was saying he earns a six-figure salary. And if he loses his sight, he won't be able
to
to.
work.
What is he going to do? There's so much that he has. There's so much that he owns. There's so much that you come across these people too. And he had to be, of course, told, okay, well, you can prepare yourself for those things. You can still continue to work and still continue to learn and bring all your expertise to bear, but you have to learn certain skills to be still part of the world. Relax a little.
Yes.
I met a Chinese student called Fong. Fong was losing his sight and he was afraid, Michael, dead scared, because he couldn't deal with it.
Wow.
And the Georgia Council for the Blind asked me, Stein said, it was a while, speak with Fong. And Fong, I had a talk with Fong. I had 2 hours with Fong. First hour, first time. And second hour, second time. And they said, why don't you tell Fong what to do? I said, Fong is an engineer. Fong is losing his sight and Fong is afraid. Now I'm not going to tell Fong what to do. I'm going to let Fong discover in himself.
What he can do, yeah.
So, based on my skill and understanding, I was able to draw out a Fong. And Fong was able to, within the last hour, Fong was able to tell me exactly what he's going to do to salvage himself.
Wonderful.
So there is something in us.
Mm-hmm.
If it is activated, if it is encouraged, if it is supported, you see, people can do good things.
Right.
People to help themselves and to help others around.
Because of the way we we are on the other side of 10. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. We're on the other side of 10.
So we have to stop.
Well, we could go on the conversation. The thing is, we could go because I'm there. It's getting empowered. I want to before we wrap up the because we have just been having just a fascinating conversation. I want to read something, if you don't mind, and maybe just get your comment on the artificial intelligence versus human intelligence. I just came across this article, and because our conversation tonight was just around our natural intelligence, and I like the way you took us through, take us through that journey. I'm not sure if our folks were able to capture it, but you took us through the journey of birth, in the womb, and just in there being formed. Things are formed, and just the ability to connect with the outside, even if we're inside in this nice secure place. And what happened once we came out, and just the the development, and all of what has happened in bringing us where we are, and just the importance of the support around us and all of this, and the father, our environment, our community, our own will, and our desire to pursue things and to grab things and to get things, and our belief in ourselves. Even sometimes when people doubt us, just the belief in yourself is so important, and to spur yourself on and not to give yourself excuses. But I came across this. It says artificial intelligence, AI, and human intelligence represent two distinct forms of intelligence, each with unique strengths and limitations. AI refers to the ability of machines to mimic human cognitive functions like learning, problem solving, and decision making. It is built using algorithms and large data sets, enabling systems to analyze patterns and automate tasks. In contrast, human intelligence is natural, rooted in biology, and encompasses emotional, social, and creative abilities. All right? AI excels in processing large data sets, performing repetitive tasks with high precision, and making data-driven decisions. For example, machine learning, ML, and deep learning, DL, techniques allow AI to power applications like recommendation system, chatbots, and image recognition. Or AI lacks emotions, creativity, and the ability to adapt to complex, unpredictable scenarios. Then you talk about human intelligence. Human intelligence, on the other hand, is highly adaptable and versatile. It involves reasoning, emotional understanding, creativity, and social interactions. Human can learn from experience, innovation, and forms meaningful relationships. Unlike AI, human intelligence is influenced by emotions, intuition, and ethical considerations, making it capable of handling diverse and dynamic challenges. There's another part of the key difference, but I will skip that for now. It points to some things in terms of our intelligence, and I will share this thought, and then I'll allow you to maybe just make some comments. When we talk of mankind within the whole creation of God, that's one of my beliefs, that we are made like God is not a light statement. When it says we are made in the image and likeness of God, that is not a light statement. That connects us to His intelligence. In fact, what that represents is God has placed in each of us a little bit of Him. A little bit of Him. All right. So to give it another spiritual slant, there are gifts of the Spirit that we talk about in the Bible, and two gifts are, if I could refer to them quickly. One is what we call the word of knowledge. The other is what we call the word of wisdom. They actually, by definition, really saying it's a word from God's vast knowledge. No. What God did when He made us, that's why we are intelligent beings. And we need not to underestimate that. What God did when He made us is He put a little bit of Him in us. And let me create an example with that. God is creator. And He created everything we see, that's my belief, from nothing. But He has also made us creators. Man is the only creature in God's creation that can create outside of himself. A bird will create a nest, but a bird cannot create a doghouse. All right, a bird will do stuff just for itself. A dog will find a hole, but a dog can't create something for itself. We as man, because we are creators, we have the ability to create for ourselves and to create for others around us. All right, that is tapping into our intelligence. You look around us, and everything we see, just the I don't know if you ever take the time, Stein, to look at things around you and marvel, thinking, boy,
Yes.
man made that. But look at this. I mean, I look at, and some persons say, well, a lot of stuff, even the big machineries around, they are somehow connected to an animal. So a caterpillar, there's something
Shape.
about it, there's some, and I'm using all of that to say to us, to myself, to you, to everyone listening, let's not underestimate the power of our natural intelligence. But let's not retard it, because the way we were made is, and I use this word, I use it again. We are made to be. I want to say to cause things to evolve, but we are made to improve things and to make things better, and even to create some stuff. So we have the ability to solve problems. We have the ability to have feelings in solving problem, to be to have empathy. We have the ability to do some stuff, and all of that is connected to our natural intelligence. That sounds like my thing. So I'm fascinated with just the way I am built. So I don't see anybody as stupid. Neither have I, or will I call anybody stupid. You may not at the time solve the problem, but that doesn't make you stupid. If I empower you, for example, I was preaching 2 Sundays ago, and I was sharing some things, and I called two young girls, and I asked them to move the podium, and I was trying to help them understand, that. Let me just point. I asked them to move the podium. I know very well they couldn't. But I was teaching them about school, and I said to them, okay, I want you to move this. And they look at me, it's like, I can't do that. And what I shared with them is, you may not be able to do that, but there's always around you the resources, be it human or some way, there's always around you something to help you do what you feel you can't do. So I was saying to them, for example, if I said to move it, you could have tapped into your fathers and said, Daddy, would you help me? That is moving it. So I'm saying this to say, we have to allow ourselves to be stimulated into problem solving, into thinking solution, rather than just settling, because that's how we were made. That's how we were made. We were made to tap in to everything around us and from that which is in us.
We have to step into it
Yes.
to find its energy.
Right.
We have
Yes.
to step into it to find the blessing.
Yeah.
We can't stand up and want. We have to go into it, and
Precisely.
then we begin to find the support as
Right.
we move along.
Precisely.
We have to go into it, and we begin to find. I mean, I really hope that people found, some encouragement in what we were talking about, because basically, this is what I'm about, to encourage, to support, to say. I mean, probably another time I might have another discussion about adults who go home and they retire and they sit down at home
Yeah.
and they just agree, they make their monies and they're through with it. And I'm saying, wow,
Yeah.
60 years, 65 years, what's going on here? You
Uh,
have a tremendous potential
right.
in you, not in your body. Probably your
In
body can't climb a ladder
Yeah.
or coconut tree or mango tree. But what else can you do?
Wow.
Because somewhere in you is a psyche, an imagination that is millions of years old. And it is in your very biology.
Mm.
What has happened to you that you settled for the end of your working life? If you're weak, if you're tired, if you're unwell, that's understood.
Yeah.
But again, you know, but certainly it is a pleasure to hear. I mean, it is a pleasure to hear that distinction you draw between artificial and natural intelligence. And I always laugh at it. I remember when I was at the University of West Indies, Dr. Agri Brown was our lecturer, God bless his soul, he died. He used to say, he was the director of the Institute of Media and Communication now. And he used to this, he said, communication is the exchange of meanings between intelligences.
The
And
exchange of
intelligences
meanings.
for him were from machines to human forms, to angels, to our ancestors. Um, a friend of mine called me last week and she told me, talking about communication intelligence and where people can be found, she told me her mother died recently and she was thinking about her mother and she sort of began to transcend. And she told me, Stein, sometimes I felt I was lifted out of my normal consciousness to think of those things. And she said she started to read about near-death experiences. And there's a fascinating guy called Kenneth Rings who has written some fascinating work on that business of near-death experiences. And why did it catch my attention now? Because it pertains to blind people. Do you know, Michael, that people who are blind, who have near-death experiences, begin to see just at that point when they're about to experience dying?
I was nowhere.
One patient was brought into theater and saw the doctor's face, could even tell what color of socks that the surgeon was wearing. That is how clear the sight became.
Wow.
So there is a lot still to be known. There's a lot still to be found out about blindness and other, but that other forms of disability, that is a whole different subject area. But the idea is, even as I speak to persons with disabilities, I say to them, study your condition, look at it, understand it, and know what it is, and how do you work with it.
Right.
Do we want a cure? Do we want a healing? Of course we do. But Michael, in the meantime, while the healing is not yet here, or while we have not found it, or while it has not returned spontaneously, what do we do? Do we sit down and cry? Do we go into states of depression? Do we kill ourselves, as is the case of blind people in places like Finland, where suicide is high among the visually impaired? What do we do when people use wheelchairs? What do they do? Do they just sit back? Or do they just begin to say, okay, let me move, let me try to move? I have found that what I have to say as a visually impaired person has meant more to people who see,
Yeah.
because they need encouragement.
Yeah.
People have talent in them and they need to find it. Do I have talent in me that I still need to find? Oh, yes. Is there a lot that I still want to do? Yes. Do I still have to find ways? Am I forever becoming? You see, I like that. Always becoming, always emerging, always evolving. Every day, every day brings a new,
Yes. Yeah.
a new beginning. You have an opportunity to make that change. Even when I write one word, I can't find the other one. I go a while. Then I come back, I get a
Yeah.
second one.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes.
And then I get a sentence.
Yes.
Then I get a paragraph.
Yes.
Can I write the whole book in a day? Can I
No.
write a book of 299 pages in a day? No.
No. Yeah.
When I reach the middle section, does it get difficult? Of course it does. But the same way I started with a difficulty, how do I unfold it? Step by step, step by step,
And
step by step.
walking away sometimes allow you to tap in, to new things. But
Some people say walk away
it,
and go into nature.
right. You exhale, you move away from it, and I tell persons, for example, I mean, I know what I'm going to preach on Sunday, but I'm walking with it from Monday. After I preach on Sunday, I'm walking with it and I'm, the foot is always with me. So I am not preparing just. I go to the final thing maybe Friday night, Saturday, but I have walked with it all week, and so like you, I walk away, and you have added things and added things and added things to the thought, So the pressure is not just that's the beauty of our natural intelligence. We can connect, we can step away, we can reconnect, that's the beauty of it. So we got to maybe take
I have to say
on
one more thing before we
the
leave. We
conversation.
have 3 minutes before 10:30.
Yes.
I would like to make a call to various professions.
Okay.
The people in law, the people who constitute Dominica's Bar Association.
Uh-huh.
I would like you to go out and begin to teach people their rights and responsibilities, go to the communities and teach people, tell people about the law. I think it is important that people understand and become intimate with what the law is.
Okay. Yeah.
I would like to speak with medical professionals, people who practice medicine, to do a bit what the lawyers do when they provide pro bono services. Go to the communities and teach people about the human body, how to eat, the structure of the body, how the body functions, what are NCDs, how the body grows, how it is formed, how it is constituted, how to care for it, to show them where the heart is, where the lung is, where the liver is, where various parts, the pancreas. Don't just tell them things are wrong. Go out and do some positive stuff. Go to communities and put up diagrams with all the existing technologies that we have and get people to understand this. And I would like the historians to go out and teach people what is their history, not only the one they have now, that is Kalinago, Africa, Europe. Go back in time. There was a guy called Fudi Blanc who used to talk a lot about that and get the people to grasp the entirety of the history of their body, the history of the law, and the history of themselves as living human beings, God blessed, empowered, and glorified, with dominion over the fishes of the sea and the birds of the air.
Amen.
And the flock and the herd. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, my friend,
Yes,
he has perfected praise.
Amen.
Thank you, my friend, for this conversation.
Appreciate it, Stein, and hopefully we could do it again. We'll pick our brain on something else. But yeah, appreciate it. I learned a lot and got some good feedback from folks, and I did admonish people, earlier because of the kind of weather we have in Dominica. It was raining. I got there in a lot of rain. I did encourage folks not to make themselves just to cozy up and thing, and I guess some have heeded, and they stayed on and listened because it's a night inviting to go under the cover. It's that kind of night here in Dominica. The weather was such that,
I know about that.
I did not. Yeah, I was saying, but can I find an excuse why? When I was getting out, I'm like, what can I present as an excuse? Is there going to be a tree across the road or something? Because it was really coming. It was really coming. But I'm happy we did it. And I thank you for your insight. I thank you for just adding, a good dimension to Get Empowered tonight in the discussion. And we hope we, by this, encourage somebody and empowered someone. Don't forget, your manifestation is with purpose, and you're not an accident. You are here by design. Bright, beautiful, and ready to, to add and to make a contribution to the world. So thank you, Stein. You're doing your share. Appreciate it. And like I said, I've learned quite a bit from you. Quietly in the background, I listen. Every time I'm listening and you call, I get a little perky ear. I want to hear what you have to say.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so thank you so
It's
much.
always nice.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
Say hi
Bless
to
you.
Jeanette. Jeanette is her name? The wife?
Jean.
Jan.
Jean.
Jan, all right.
Jean. Say hi to
And,
Jean.
and
Yes. She's listening intently. Yeah.
all right. And Jan, you have Jan and you have your children. What are the names? You have Steinberg, and Steinin? Do you have any junior?
My children are Glendora, Zev, Imran, and Roberta.
Okay. All right. So you have what, 3 girls and 1 boy?
Yeah, well, it's 4 children, and we have eight grands.
But with your 4 children, is it 2 on 2 or 2 boys,
No,
2 girls, or 3 boys?
my wife and I have 4 grands.
Okay.
Zamir, Zakai, Lezi, and Ethan and Evan.
Okay.
And then Roberta has 2 boys, Xavier and Christopher.
Okay.
And Imran has the boy and the girl, Icon and Makiba.
Okay. All right. But
Imran's in the Kalinago territory, but his children are in Antigua. Roberta is in Houston, Texas. My son Zev, our son Zev, is in Jacksonville, Florida, and our daughter Glendora is here with us. She's married. She lives here in Lawrenceville, Georgia.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Well, congratulations, and proud of you, and God bless you. God bless your family, and continue to do the work, good work you're doing, and we pray for good health and strength and wellness. All right. So take care again, and thank you very much. All right.
You're welcome, my friend.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Much
good.
love.
All right, good. All right, so that's it for us here tonight on Get Empowered. That's my guess. We're happy to go a little overboard. Yeah, so that's Steinberg Henry with me tonight here on Get Empowered. And it's quite a pleasure to have been able to do that and to just interact with you. Let me just close down this, and we will continue to just roll along. All right, so let me just do a few things here, and as we roll along, there's some things, maybe not permissible with the feed, so I got to clear that out. All right, yes.
For news, views, interviews, special events, music and entertainment, sad occasions, joyous moments, the events that shape our lives in Dominica, around the region and around the world. Listen to DBS Radio. Experience and professionalism. Your #1 station.
Living in the positive.
Here is an invitation to get empowered on DBS Radio every Tuesday evening from 8 to 10. It is a program designed to lift you, helping you to be better, not bitter, helping you to live in the positive, inspiring, uplifting, and impactful. Get Empowered covers topics and real-life situations that are often not discussed. Get Empowered will seek to help you find a reason, not an excuse. Get Empowered provides laughter and encouragement with positive interaction. You can also join the conversation. No subject is too heavy for the team and knowledgeable guests. Relevant, practical, and to the point. That's Get Empowered on the Nation Station every Tuesday evening from 8 to 10. Live in the positive on Get Empowered.
Living in the positive.
This is your nation station, DBS Radio.
For news, views, interviews, special events, music and entertainment, sad occasions, joyous moments, the events that shape our lives in Dominica, around the region and around the world. Listen to DBS Radio. Experience and professionalism. Your #1 station.
I got some music to play to you up till 11 o'clock. It's 24 minutes to 11 o'clock. The song Fearfully and Wonderfully Made, we mentioned this, yeah. Judith Gale.
You say you ain't worth
And take it from the top.